Every banker, realtor, and financial advisor will tell you that buying your house is one of the best investments that you can make. But that's not exactly true. For one, many Americans end up regretting their home purchase. Two, home prices don't always go up. Remember the 2008 housing market crash? And number three, you have to keep paying to live in your investment, the house. What are you talking about, Jaspreet? I bought my house for $400,000, I paid it off, and now it's worth $1 million. Great, but now your property taxes are higher. Your insurance is more expensive, and you might want to replace your roof too. Now make sure you hear me very carefully here. I'm not saying you shouldn't own your house, and I'm not saying it's bad to own a house. In fact, I think it's better for you to own than rent. I'm saying it's very easy to become a homeowner thinking that you're going to become wealthy when in reality that house ends up becoming a money pit and it can destroy your finances if you don't know what you're doing. And that's why in this video, I want to go over the 5 main ways that people turn becoming a homeowner into a home owning you. Number 1, you don't take advantage of not getting rent hikes. If you go out and you buy this $400,000 house right here with a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, what that means is you could potentially lock in a house with $2,500 a month in payments for the next 30 years. But that's not what ends up happening to a lot of people. What happens to a lot of people is they hear the good news that your home is no longer worth $400,000. Now your house is worth $500,000. And then what do people do? They go out and refinance. Now, if mortgage rates go up or down, it doesn't really matter. What ends up happening to a lot of people is instead of paying $2,500 a month, now you start paying $2,800 a month. You gave yourself a rent hike because every time the home goes up in value, you start to refinance. But maybe even you don't wait until the home goes up in value. Maybe the home is still only worth $400,000. And yes, I'm using only relatively. You buy this house worth $400,000. It doesn't go up in value. But what you do is you start paying down the debt. And as you start paying down the debt, now you use the money here that's in your equity to refinance again. And now your payments go up again because the economy changes, things change, and now you go from being 5 years away from being debt-free to now starting the 30-year mortgage process all over again. Yes, you can use refinancing strategically, but most people are getting stuck in their own mortgage hike game because they keep pulling money out, they keep refinancing and not taking advantage of that fixed rate mortgage because you can lock in your monthly payment for the next 30 years and never have to worry about rent hikes again if you stick with your mortgage payment. Mistake number 2 is you treat your house like a checkings account. We covered this in Market Briefs, which is my free financial newsletter, but you're starting to see more of these HELOC credit cards, a home equity line of credit card, which is essentially a way for you to spend money based off of how much equity you have in the house. So you buy this house for $400,000, you've been making payments on it, and now you have $100,000 worth of equity, and it's just sitting there. Well, what some people are starting to do is they're saying, don't let that money just sit there, use it, spend it. Take this credit card and go out and start shopping at Gucci, go out and buy the extra guac. Well, that defeats the whole purpose of paying off your house and owning an asset free and clear because now you have taken the value of the asset and spent it on Gucci and now you're paying interest on that as well. By the way, if you haven't joined Market Briefs yet, Market Briefs is my free financial newsletter where every day my team is breaking down what's happening in things like the economy, the housing market, the stock market, the crypto market, and the global economy into a fun and witty and easy to read newsletter. You can read it in less than 5 minutes every morning, and we have hundreds of thousands of investors that read Market Briefs every morning. So if you have not joined yet, I got the link for you to join down in the description below. Here's why this matters. Your house is only worth what somebody else is willing to pay. So you buy this house for $400,000, you build $100,000 worth of equity, and now you start spending that equity. Well, what happens if we start to see home prices fall? Because we have seen that happen before. And now if you can't sell your house for say $400,000, now you can be in trouble because you've spent a lot of your equity. If your home value drops down to, let's say, $300,000, but now you owe a $300,000 mortgage plus a $20,000 home equity line of credit, now you're underwater. You don't have enough collateral to pay off that debt. And if you can't make the payments, well, now you're really in trouble. And this is why I always say your house should be treated like a liability. Treat it like a liability. If it makes you money, great, but don't use it as a way to fund your lifestyle. Mistake number 3 is you treat your mortgage payment like an investment deposit. Here's what a lot of people think. If I go out and I buy this $400,000 house and my mortgage payments are $2,500 a month, this $2,500 a month is building me wealth. This is money that I'm investing because I'm investing this money into buying my house. I'm investing this money into my equity. So this is an asset. It's an investment. So I don't have to keep investing my money into the stock market. I don't have to keep investing my money into buying rental properties. This money, my mortgage payment, is my investment. And that is a major lie. So here's the thing. Banks are smart. If they're lending you money for 30 years, the bank doesn't want to have to wait for 30 years to get paid. So what they do is front load their mortgages. That means when you pay this $2,500 a month, half of this is not going to principal and half of this is not going to interest. What happens at the beginning is they front load their mortgages, which means most of this money is going to the bank in the form of interest and a little bit is going to principal. And it isn't until very far into your loan that you actually start to see the majority of your mortgage payment go towards the principal balance of your mortgage. Take a look at this amortization calculator. So let's assume that you get a $400,000 loan, you lock it in for 30 years at a 7% mortgage rate. Year one, $27,800 is going to interest and only $4,000 is going to principal. And it kind of stays like that until you're 21 in the mortgage. You're 21 in this mortgage is when you finally are paying more money towards your principal balance than you are your interest. For the first 20 years of your 30-year mortgage, more than half of your mortgage payment is going directly into your banker's pocket with interest. This is I want you to think about your mortgage payment being an expense because this is money going into your banker's pocket with interest. Sure, eventually if you pay it off, you have a paid off house, but this is not the way that wealthy people build wealth. Wealthy people build wealth by buying stocks, by buying rental properties. These are things that you're buying for the sole purpose of making money. This is what you're buying for the purpose of making memories. Nothing bad with owning a house. Yes, you can make money with owning a house, but it's not guaranteed. You're buying it with the goal of making memories, but if you buy it with the intention of this being a liability, you're gonna buy it with a smarter mind. And now you're not gonna go broke because you bought this house. Mistake number 4 is you are a cheap homeowner. And I'm gonna give you this perspective as somebody who invests in real estate and I've really seen the impact of being cheap. And I'm talking from personal experience. Almost 13% of homeowners in America do not carry any form of homeowners insurance, which means if somebody crashes into your house, you gotta pay for it out of your pocket. Your home becomes worthless and now it's an expense that you gotta pay for. I have seen this happen in one of my rental properties. A drunk driver has driven directly into the house and that was an expense. Luckily, I had insurance to cover the cost, but you don't want to be the person that's paying for this out of your pocket. But being cheap also applies to who you hire. If you're getting work done in the house, you don't always want to go with the cheapest person. That's what I used to do. And what I realized is yes, the cheapest person might cost you the least amount of dollars today, but it might end up costing you a whole lot more because now you have to pay somebody else who's more expensive to come in and undo what they did, and then you have to pay for them to redo what you were supposed to do the right way. I've done this many times and I've finally started learning my lesson. So being cheap can be one of the most expensive things that you can do because yeah, you might save a few bucks today, but it can cost you a whole lot more dollars in the future. And if you still don't believe me and you want to see an example, just watch the video of me going through my worst real estate deal ever. I have it on YouTube and I'll link it for you down in the description as well. And number 5 is you buy a house too big. Look, I want you to understand, I'm not against you owning a house. I'm against you owning a house that you can't afford. And if you really want to be able to afford the house, that means number 1, you have to be able to afford the down payment. Number 2, you have to be able to afford the mortgage payment. And number 3, you have to be able to afford the move-in costs. After that, go out and buy whatever type of house that you want. Just understand, the bigger the house, the bigger your maintenance costs, the bigger your utility costs, the bigger your insurance costs. And if you can't make it, well, now you're going to sacrifice your real wealth just so you can look like you're rich by living in this house. So here's what that means. You want to afford the down payment, you better have at least 20% to put down. I get it, that can be a lot of money, but if you really want to be able to afford it, you need that 20% down. Then, to afford the monthly mortgage payment, what you want to do is follow something like a 75, 15, 10 plan. What this says is for every dollar that you earn from here on out, 75 cents is the maximum that you can spend, 15 cents is the minimum that you invest, 10 cents is the minimum that you save. If you can afford the mortgage payment and all of your living costs with this part of your budget, then you can afford it. If you have to dig into your investment money or have to dig into your savings money to make a mortgage payment, you cannot afford it. Now notice, Your investment money is not your mortgage. Your investment money is separate. This is money you're putting aside to buy rental properties. This is money you're putting aside to invest in the stock market. This is money you're putting aside to invest into other businesses. This is not the money you're using to make your monthly mortgage payment. If you can afford your mortgage payment here and your other lifestyle costs here, then you can afford it. Then finally is the move-in costs. Here's the reality. Movers are expensive, and when you move into a new house, you might want to upgrade the basement. You want to upgrade a bedroom. You might want to upgrade the kitchen. All of this is expensive. Factor that cost in there. And if you're getting new furniture, that's also expensive. Factor that in there. Now that we went over the 5 biggest mistakes the homeowners make, let me show you what you should do and the way that you actually can use a house the right way. Now again, this doesn't make your house an asset, it's still a liability, but what you want to do is number 1, you lock in a mortgage rate. Once you lock in a mortgage rate, it can be a 30-year or a 15-year mortgage, it doesn't really matter. The key is you want to pay a little bit extra every single month. If you can pay a little bit extra, that extra money, you want it to go directly to your principal balance. That way you can pay off your house a whole lot faster. Number 2, it's not bad to refinance, but you want to refinance strategically. Make sure that it's actually profitable for you to refinance. There's a lot of calculators on the internet that can walk you through if it's profitable for you to refinance or not, but I want you to do the refinance strategically, because what most people do when they refinance is they're wanting to pull cash out. You're trying to pull cash out of the house so you can buy a boat or buy some clothes or buy a vacation. You're taking out debt so you can fund another liability. That is the broke way to do that. I don't want you to do that. I want you to try to pay off the house as fast as possible. So if you're refinancing, the goal is now to not pull up more money than you need. And now you have a lower mortgage payment, but you continue making the previous mortgage payment that you had before. So if your mortgage payment is $2,500 and now you refinance out and your mortgage payment is now $1,500 a month, you pay the $1,500 a month and then you send in an additional $1,000 check every single month. Why? Because that additional $1,000 is going straight to your principal balance and it'll help you pay off your house even faster. So now you're refinancing because you're paying a lower interest rate and it's going to help you pay off the house faster. That's how you use the refinance strategically. And then number 3, buy a house that you can afford. Why does this matter? Because when things happen, you're protected. When bad things happen, you're okay because you can afford the house. When good things happen and your house jumps up in value from $400,000 to $1 million, well, now you have higher property taxes, you have higher insurance costs, but at least you can afford it because you're working to pay down the house. That mortgage payment is gone. Once the mortgage payment is gone, all you have to do is pay for the property taxes and insurance, which is a whole lot cheaper than paying that mortgage. So yes, it can be good to own a house, but don't screw up the way you own the house. That way it ends up becoming a money pit for you and your finances. Let's assume that you make $5,000 a month. After taxes, you will be left around $3,833 a month. Now, when you get this $3,833 a month, you pay your rent, you pay your mortgage, you pay your groceries, you pay for some nice stuff here and there, and then you have no money to save and invest. So this is what we're gonna do differently.